Whoops. I was muted the whole time. Gotta love it. Oh, nice. We're in HD today too. Solid. I'm actually really stoked about that because I took the time to Google how to change the setting. And the latency is actually not bad. I just checked. I barely had any time. Okay. Okay. All right. I need a little bit of coffee, but real quick, we'll go over the game plan. Actually, you know what? Let's write it. Okay. Game plan. Come on. Oh my God. Okay. So let's put that like here. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm just going to make some coffee real quick, although this seems like a pivotal point where I'd want to be paying attention. Um, okay, so ES is rejecting, NQ also rejecting the top end. Slight SMT, if we break down here, I would take the short and look for the 1 hour. I mean, it's also worth noting that like you could take a very low risk short up here. Like that's also something I would do. NQ is the stronger one. We'll try one there. And just risk the high. Because I like that ES was rejecting the top end and then even left a fair value gap. And NQ you could see is rejecting that midpoint. So let's see what the 1 minute does here. Pretty good shove. And we'd want to see it blow past these fair value gaps. Let's reduce risk and just put the stop up here now. Because if this is really going to start to tumble down, let's have it happen now. Solid. Beaut. So far we're following the plan nicely. This is a 5-minute chart. We're going to take a couple off onto these lows, or at least maybe even before, because I'd like to get something off. Let's de-risk. Nice. Like it to move down after we've just retested the invalidated 1 minute here. Come on. Hate when this is finicky. ES is showing the good weakness. Come on. There you go. Good flush. Partial sum there. Stop the even now. Let's move game plan out of the way at least. We're going to be mindful of these lows and any sort of divergence on them. This might end up being a very quick stream. Here's the 1 hour. Here's that 1 hour fair value gap. So we'll just put that there. This is risk-free now. Pretty solid. And we'll do a recap after the fact. But right now this is, I mean, this is great. This is ideal, you know. Using the morning volatility to our advantage. I'd like to peel another one off under this low. Or, it's okay, so now I'm gonna, well, actually no, I can do that. Huge divergence. ES being the weaker pair too, and just not moving for it. I don't love that. Yeah, we'll put it back. So what I thought about doing was actually just partialing one right now. My gut's telling me to, but I like this ES candle. Like it's got a, I'd like to see it move down. Consolidation's no good. So we're within a 15-minute, right? In a 15-minute fair value gap, SMT between just the 15-minute candles. But now we're kind of launching. I knew I probably should have just partialed one right away. Hate to see it. That's okay. Let's see if we dump here. I feel like it's going to want to come out to take out like a 1 minute swing high or something. And I'm on these second charts, so let's see what that looks like. Okay, another divergence here. So ES took this high. That would be this high for NQ. Let's see us go down now. Heat advisory, no grab, it's hot. I'd really like to see it fall here. Let's measure half. Okay, didn't even really make it down to discount yet. That's not great. That could either signal very strong movement or it's saving it for a second run below, which also wouldn't be great because at that point we're I mean it could just be sweeping it to then go higher again. Not super stoked here. Don't love the action. I do like that ES is taking highs and NQ is not. That is ideal because NQ was originally the stronger pair. That's kind of what I like to see in terms of flip-flop. Let's watch what happens in this BPR. So far, decent reaction. Not great. But ES is now finally melting, so that kind of gives me confidence. I'm trying not to partial one here and just kind of let the buy limit be taken, but I feel like I'm given a second chance here to do that. And that's sometimes the smarter thing to do. I'm just gonna have my finger on the trigger just in case. Go ahead. Come on. We're gonna take that off. That's fine. I'll deal with it. Okay, now the next partial will be these candles lows. Specifically, I'm just going to aim for the body, and that's kind of plenty. And then finally is that's exactly what our plan was. You know, this 1 hour fair value gap, but also this 1 minute. I mean, that would be kind of squeezing a few extra points out of it. I mean, you also have these lows here. We could always look to get involved. So much for my coffee, right? We could always look to get involved for another trade into that if that's even worth it. But okay, now we actually have good. Both indexes have taken that low, solid. Hopefully this is the reset. Okay, so we're coming into this down close candle. Could be a deterrent for price. Also, if you look on the 4 hour, you see these wicks like an implied fair value gap here. Good speed. Sorry, I'm just trying to okay, so this, I'm just trying to talk through like my thoughts. It's actually much harder to say everything out loud that you're thinking while I'm trading. Like it's actually interesting to find out, you know, the stream, the thought stream of it. But anyway, so yeah, so might seem a little jumbled up and whatever, but it's just everything, you know, if I'm seeing it, I'm kind of just trying to think out loud. But it's hard to draw the same conclusions in words, like what I'm thinking, like what that makes me feel like, just based off of what I'm seeing. So I think that's kind of the disconnect right now is that I'm kind of pointing, I'm just saying out loud what I'm seeing and not exactly the conclusions that I'm coming to from seeing those things. So I mean, this is a great trade so far. Well over 100 points. ES is now in a daily volume imbalance. Might want to be careful around here. I'd imagine it's going to get filled, like they'll lay a body over it. But in terms of the trade, may want to get careful in terms of the greed. We may just, I mean, let's definitely roll our stop to this high. We could run back up for it. I don't think we should, but it's been a super crazy rangy market. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of seek and destroy element in that. And also it's a failure swing, so we have low resistance. It should be protected this high, considering it's an SMT high. And we'll recap after. I probably said that a million times, but we will recap after. And I'd like to take the streams a little more serious. Like yesterday was a lot of messing around, a lot of frequency. You know, I'd like them to be entertaining, but also valuable. So I'm gonna try. Would like to not do too much. So let's just see where we're up here. How many points? It's about 150. Super solid. Okay, even a 15-minute little order block here. So that's what's kind of slowing us down. We're in this volume imbalance on the daily for ES. Okay, that could be a little divergence, could cause a larger retracement. So let's go down here. It's actually what we'll do is we'll put in a buy stop to just take us out if it chooses to break anywhere close to that high. I'll actually trail it pretty aggressively. I know that I said that, we're kind of trying to stick to partial targets or whatever, but I mean, this is how I trade. I'm very dynamic. I have an idea of where it's supposed to go, but I don't care too much about whether it actually gets, especially in this type of volatility where, we're managing a position that's up hundreds, over 150 points. I'm not going to get crazy over it. I actually want to give that midpoint a chance. Okay, so we did take that low. Now it could retrace anyway. All right, so we got stopped out static on one. Now we'll just leave it go. And it'll be what it'll be. We'll lock in above that swing. Like I said, should be protected because it's an SMT swing. And we'll actually put this right here. Even though we're pretty confident it's going to turn around in here. If it does. And by turn around, like bounce. I believe the bias is lower. I mentioned this yesterday. If we look at the front month contract, we never took this low on NQ or on the NASDAQ. And then if you look at the continuous, we did just barely sweep below it. I think it needs to go lower. I think they need to be in sync in that respect, and I think they will. Also, we really, we have those super suspect 4-hour equal lows anyway. So makes sense to me. But so far, I mean, this is game plan was written out. We followed it pretty much to a T, and now we wait. I'm just going to leave the game plan graphic or text box. I would love to figure out why it didn't. Okay. Just up on the screen while I make coffee. I will put that there. So look how it's using that previous range equilibrium. Could get stopped out here. Yes, left these like little mini equals. I'm glad I took the partial off over there. I mean, there's just no sense in letting, I don't know, where did we get stopped out? There's just no sense in letting 137 or 140 points turn into 64, especially if it's not on a runner on the last contract. That to me makes zero sense. I don't care what the target is. I don't care about the whatever. I mean, the dynamic risk there doesn't make any sense. I think you should be, I don't know, take the money. Especially in this volatility, it's a lot of points. I mean, secured seven grand. This would be a possible reshort off of the S&T again, but ES is not very weak. ES is not showing the weakness that I would like, so I'd be very careful with it. So what I really like about it is the fact that it was using the previous range equilibrium as resistance. We created another S&T, small, but it was done. You can see ES barely swept. And then, displaced with a 15-second fair value gap. That to me is good for an ad, especially if we haven't reached the draw. Okay, coffee time. You guys can watch this play out for now. I'm I'm going to mute this, that way you don't have to hear all the sounds in the kitchen. All right, so we got stopped out on the runner there. No problem. Still did pretty well. I'm still making coffee, so I will reevaluate when I'm back. All right, we are back. I just need to grab my laptop real quick. That's a pretty crazy run. So I guess I was involved in the Judas swing. I don't know, and I don't care. I'll be right back. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. So let's actually, I wouldn't mind doing a quick recap because in the morning it moved really fast. Like it seemed really fast at least. So we're consolidating. As I'm typing out the plan, like just a quick look at the chart, this is what I see. I see, and I was looking at Asia's session last night to see what was kind of, going on. And just the action from yesterday. Never quite got to this hourly fair value gap, or this is a breakaway 1 minute gap. There was SMT from this 1 minute gap. ES entered this area, NQ did not. So that to me is like, okay, target for later. In Asia, I'm forgetting to breathe while I'm talking. In Asia, we reached into the new week opening gap, didn't even get to the midpoint, right? And then started to crumble down. So now I look at this and I say, the game plan is the draw is either going to be the midpoint of that new week opening gap, right? And ES to move a little bit higher. I think it needs to go into like this 4 hour or something. To move a little bit higher, right, into the midpoint. Or depending on how we react, right, in the new day opening gap, right, the difference between our close and our open at 6 o'clock Eastern. We're rejecting that. We could get another short. Depending on how we react, then I'll target this downside. So I have two draws, either the high, right, or internal on the 1 hour. I'm not going to get involved in this. We'll just be done. So 9:30 opens, right? We're kind of moving around, sloshing around, keeping intact some lows. Although I didn't really notice this. I'm kind of glad I did it because it probably would have messed with my head. SMT, you have like these lows, this little low sweep, but whatever. We run up, and immediately the NASDAQ starts to reject the top end of the new day opening gap. And again, we're looking for signals to either get short or to get long, depending on how we react in this new day opening gap. I noticed that we have SMT internally. And then also, if you look, like when I moved down to these micro time frames, it was a little bit easier to kind of see. But this is another sort of signature that I like. Let's go to the 1 minute and 30 second. It's a little bit better. So at the time, I'm seeing that the bodies are respecting for NQ, the bodies are respecting the top end, right? And as soon as the S&P, you'll see, like that's kind of when I decide to pull the trigger. As soon as the S&P touches the bottom end of its new day opening gap and rejects off of it, like relatively quickly, that to me, that's a signature that I like to see when we're using two of the same PD arrays, like between the indexes and how they're working. Obviously, the S&P was the quote-unquote weaker one in this situation. But you have one playing off the top end, the premium of the array, and then you have another one quickly rejecting the very discount, like the very bottom of the array. That to me is like instant short. It could just be a 10-point scalp or a 15-point scalp or whatever, but that's a signal that like there's weakness. There's a crack in the market there, and that's a good place to get short. Now, my narrative was, we're going to go lower than, like, I'm just looking for a sign using this new day opening gap. Am I going up or am I going down? To me, it was clear that that signal right there with the SMT. Also, you could say that it was super weak because it never even touched the midpoint of the new week opening gap. We've been kind of going down. We've been going down from Asia all morning. We have the sweep in the 15, holding the 15-minute fair value gap here. You could spin it a million different ways. The fact of the matter is that we had a target and we were just looking to get involved. So as soon as, like I said, as soon as I see ES rejecting the bottom end and NQ bodies respecting and rejecting the top end, that's a short. Sorry, over here. That's a short, right? And I just say, like, hey, if we're going to move down and if this is truly the spot, then I'm going to take the low risk right here. So let's actually here, we'll put on the execution so we could talk about that. Okay, so we're short 5 at 45, so we actually didn't get a good one, and we're not inside of it, which is fine. But 5 and 45, right? So let's just do, well, I guess we'll use this thing. I never use it, but whatever, 45, 25. We'll just call it 45. Okay, perfect. So we're risking these highs, and we're targeting pretty much all the way down here. 260 or something, wherever that one is. So obviously risk reward is killer. Now there was no real there's no change in state of delivery here. This entry is just narrative. Like there's really no technical, besides obviously rejecting, like, sure, that's how we can kind of frame it, is that between the S&P rejecting the bottom end and the NQ rejecting the top end, that is a signature that I've watched and I've seen and I've known to trust, or come to know to trust. That was enough for me, especially given that, there were targets, reasonable targets. So I'll sell as soon as we put in the high and just assume that we're going to hold it. Does sometimes it roll back on me and sweep that high before moving lower? Yeah, but that's, that is what it is. I'm willing to take that risk in my trading to get one of the best possible entries before it really gives us some sort of signal to move lower. That's just, especially if you're going to trade with some size, which obviously this is the paper account, doesn't really matter too much. But if you're trying to trade aggressively, you need to try to shorten your stops as much as you can. And the probability of the trade doesn't really change that way for me, because I'm just trying to get ahead of the setup. And if I can get as close to the point of origin, like where it forms, then great, perfect. So that's what I decided to do. You see it works out. So on the 15-second, there's actually this could be your kind of confirmation entry. So we can get rid of this 1 minute fair value gap. So this could be your quote unquote confirmation entry, right, for the 15-second setup. You put in an up close and we quickly reject down. You can call this an order block. Technically, I would view this as the whole order block, like this right here. This set. But that is what it is. I'm looking for this to kind of stay intact. So yeah, this could be your, I'm not going to say less risk because it's actually more risk, if you're entering here, but it's less risk in terms of more information. So this is your more information, low risk add here. Not add, but like, entry. So we were, and it's not too far. I mean, like, so we're at 45 and the highs, let's just call it 28.50. And assuming you put your limit right here, you're risking 41. Not terribly different, but, different enough. And you need to have access to these second time frames for that. So whatever, so we get the puke down, we invalidate this 1 minute fair value gap, which we're gonna just kind of put here. And to me now we're kind of in business, and you can see it's happening like relatively quickly. If you go back and watch, it's happening all relatively fast. So now look how we're using this, by the way, sidetrack brain. And the ES strength was obviously a tell here. Like ES should not have been as strong as it was, considering it was the weaker asset in the morning that caused the SMT. When we saw that strength, we knew it was bad news. Anyway, I need like an anyway counter for how many times I probably say it on the stream. That would be funny. So, you know, we invalidate the 1 minute. I walk through and I mentioned that that's a good thing. We just retest it after closing down and then immediately lower it back. You don't necessarily want to see it come in and test this little BPR, right? From like here to here. You don't want to see it come back into there. You rather just kind of puke lower. That's what happens, which is good. We move down. Did I draw out a 30-second there? Is that a 1 minute? What was I drawing here? I don't even know. It's not really lining up with anything. Maybe that 30-second. Maybe I was just flustered. Whatever. So we cover a couple after we take out these lows, just because, you know, let's cover some risk. 45 to, well, that's 48, so let's move this down actually. To 18,089. So we lock in 55 points, which is, I think, no-brainer for the volatility. I mean, 2 at 55 is a great trade. And then we roll, and also, like, we could be wrong. Like, I'm always assuming that I'm probably wrong. So when I see profits, I'm taking them almost all the time, especially if I'm getting moves like quickly in my favor. I'm taking the money. So we come down, we take some lows, great. Then we retrace into this 30-second fair value gap. We come back down. I peel off another one under the low because, again, I could be wrong. It's time to, you know, get out. We keep moving lower. I'm rolling the stop progressively. Then finally we take off another one as we come down, sweep the low, and then make a solid move up. I just don't want to weather any more retracement. And again, we're up over 100 and some, I think 150 points at these lows, maybe even 170. So what's the point in giving it back? Because my stop is above here, and at this point I'm kind of thinking we're in jeopardy, especially if ES was strong for no reason a lot of the time, which really it shouldn't have been. It was the weaker asset all morning. Yes, it could be strong on the very micro time frames, which it was, and we also pointed that out, that that was good news. I think it was on lower time frames. It was right here. Like, this was good. Like, I don't mind seeing on the micro time frames ES sweep a high, right? And NQ not, especially if NQ was the stronger asset before. That to me is a good sign. That's just the balance of things. NQ manipulated on the larger time frame, it doesn't need to manipulate highs as much on the way down. Can it? Yes. But I've seen that, like, you know, when I'm seeing both of these things together, that's a good sign. You know, NQ has done its work in stopping people out. Now ES needs to do its work in stopping people out. So on the micro time frames, it's going to take stops that way. And NQ doesn't have to. When you see that, it doesn't worry me. That doesn't worry me in terms of like, oh, ES is way stronger than it should be. That's okay. I expect it to then take some highs. And that was a lesson just learned out of pain from shorting the weaker asset on SMT and then trailing the stop aggressively over highs, being like, oh, it's the weaker asset. It shouldn't be taking any. Watching it take all of the short-term highs and the strong asset just dump through the ground and not take any of the short-term highs. So again, it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes the strong asset continues to take highs, and you just kind of expect that. You know what I mean? You expect anything. And yes, like you kind of think about it, well, then like, you know, where's the edge in it if there's nothing to really, there's no true expectations of it? Well, the edge is in your entries and in your draw. Like, that's irrelevant. This inside, like in the inner trade management is more or less like for your head and, you know, I guess managing partials, which, you know, you see how I handle it. So anyway, I don't even know where I was anymore. So we're back. That was the internal SMT. Good dump. I take profits after that. Then we noticed that also ES was inside of that daily volume imbalance. And NQ on the 15-minute time frame was within this fair value gap. So whenever we get that, and then we had well, actually, I think it cleared that up actually. But we were having some SMT. It barely poked into there, took off. We partialed another one. We set partial just above midpoint of this wick to give it a shot if it was going to work. It didn't. So I'm glad I took one off there. That locked in another over 100 points, and then another like 20 or so, 20 something from here to here. That's solid. And then we got stopped out on the runner, which to be honest, this was, and again, we talked about this. You can go back and watch it. This was the protected high. Shouldn't have been taken. Now this strength here, this was like, hey, we are in serious trouble. Even though there was SNT here, first of all, ES should not have come back all the way up to this high. It was the weaker pair. The fact that there was no, and I talked about how this was sort of a re-add, but I didn't because of, there wasn't enough weakness in ES. ES consolidating here, NQ, yes, moving down, which was good. Just not great. Let me look. Like that was kind of your signal, like, we're kind of in trouble. You may want to bounce. Like you may want to take profits, but for sake of, just best practices, we don't. We just kind of let the runner get stopped. But look at that. This also could have been your signal. Look at the range. Look how we respect 50% of it. Immediately rocket off. That's usually a save your stop sort of point. Like I wouldn't even let it get to here, but who cares? It was profitable enough. Like, I mean, these are monster trades. Like unless you were AM, you weren't catching intraday 150 point swings. Like I can't wait to see what he puts out. I don't know. This week, if he has this out, there's no real news, so I don't really know what he's going to do. Maybe Thursday he'll look for something, but I mean, we have to look at the weekly profile. I'd imagine his range is going to be close to 1,000-point trade on NQ. Like because usually the way we're sort of different is I'm catching 25, 30-point moves intraday, and his swings are 200 to 300 points. His daily is catching some of that weekly profile and like the daily candles. So if I'm catching 150 points or even 100, I'm going to assume he's catching 3 to 6 times that. So I'm sure he's like salivating at the volatility. But he made a post. I'm sure if anybody's interested in watching the space, then you'll see that he's kind of sitting on his hands now and not letting the volatility get him too excited. So that's the trade recap. Long story short, that's the trade recap. The ad was like, if ES was a little bit weaker, great. The ad made perfect sense to me. Even on the 30-second, look how clean this is. So we'll go to the 15 because that's what I saw. That's what I was watching. So previous swing range, right? Little 2022 model here. Doesn't take the low, but 2022 model, meaning like we sweep a high and then create a fair value gap. Like let's not go crazy here. Right off the 50%. That could even be a great quick scalp short. You know what I mean? Enter here, risk the high, 21 points, and just kind of go for some sort of low-hanging fruit internal level. Like don't get fancy with the R of being 2 to 1. Like just trade the dynamics of the market. And boom, 33, easy peas. Quickly move the stop to even, or put it this way, if you want your 2 to 1 or whatever, you risk here, right? As soon as you get this flush down, your stop goes instantly to break even. This is not a move where we should be playing around here. if we're using equilibrium of a prior swing range and rejecting like that, you want to see it hit here and then take off and never look back. But it looks back, and you know, your stop should be even, and you get saved. Or you target the internal fair value gap, or you target equilibrium of this range, and you take your money, and it's a great winning trade. Either way, you shouldn't lose on this trade if this is how it acts. ES obviously was a problem, just barcoding, and then takes off. That's it. That's all I got. I hope it's helpful. I hope it's insightful. But yeah. Also, you had the SMT. But again, ES coming up and taking that again is not great. Like, that's too much. Like, I know I mentioned I like to see ES come in and, you know, take some levels like that. That is too much. Especially given how close we were to certain targets. I wouldn't touch that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much of a read. Like again, we can go over kind of, right? So let's actually, just for giggles, let's see how we treated this. Okay, not too much respect, not too much help. So yeah, I mean, look, could we still be in play for, you know, midpoint of the week opening gap and higher? Maybe, you know, but nothing for me to really play around with right now. These are just some daily and weekly levels. So daily low, I'll just take that out for the sake of cleanliness. But what's really messing with me right now is the fact, like, this continuous contract mumbo jumbo. So not taken, right? Let's just move that here. Didn't sweep. Swept. Like, let me just take this out. Did sweep. But, well, I guess it's not by a little bit. It's by like 20 points, which is enough. It looks like a very little bit on the daily chart. So it's, I'm going to call it a little bit. I don't think it's enough. As to where, like, this discrepancy, like, I believe we probably do come back down here and take it. Just my guess. But because we are here, right, and we haven't taken that, and we built this 1 hour, you know, pretty much relative equals. I think we do come back down. We'll see. But I also think we're in for like a monster rally, because all of these points are super low resistance. Perfect equal highs. Perfect equal highs. Low resistance. Low resistance. I mean, I don't know, at least back to 20,000, I think, you know. So I'm just kind of waiting for the turning point. I just don't know when that is. Hope that's helpful. Let's go to the monthly chart and just kind of look around. I like to go to continuous for this because it's just cleaner. I don't like when the candles get all janky. Shouldn't go into this. Should get stuck in here. Could go into this. And that kind of makes sense. Maybe not in here. I think, see, it's such a tough call, because if we start taking off from here, it's hard to, like, see this continuous contract and be like, oh, like, quarterly shift is in, it's time to roll. It's hard to discount that. So I don't know. I hate, that's the one problem I have with these concepts, is that around roll period, like contract roll, things get messy like this, and like it totally messes with your head. But then I just kind of go to, like, so I'll substitute, right, and I'll go into, oh, I didn't want to change that. Then I'll just go to the other contracts, right? Not contracts, but just other instruments. So we have like the actual NASDAQ index. That didn't even take the monthly low. I wonder if it even, okay, it did take the weekly. So this hasn't taken the low. Qs haven't taken the low, which makes sense because the Qs are tracking the index, not the futures. At least as far as I know. I could be totally wrong. Don't take anything I say on here seriously. Yeah, you know, so maybe so. But if you look, so now let's look over here, right? The S&P futures are in line with the index. Everything is in line there. So, no idea. I got no clue, man. I wonder if that's all that. Does that see that? I'm just looking at my stream. No. Okay. Just wanted to make sure about something. So yeah, you know, that's a tough read for now. I feel like we have to take it. You know, I really do. I feel like we take it. ES is pretty strong. NQ using this new day opening gap as support. Let me look real quick and see what this is. Okay, that's the top of a daily gap here. And then I believe this one's the weekly one. Okay, so top and bottom. I'm actually going to get rid of this because I don't care about that. So we can get some action out of here. I mean, I don't think it's too crazy to expect some sort of an up move here. But we have now divergence all over. Again, nothing I really want to touch. Too hard of a read. We're in between two PT arrays. For me. Like, you know, in the morning it made sense the way we acted. Look how we kind of came down right to the 50% level of that. That's pretty clean. This isn't like a great bottom to me though. Like I don't like it even like this bottom is weak. Like I see that and I don't like that. Like if I was trading like the low risk buy in here and in here, I don't particularly trust this. The only reason I really would is because the down close candle takes the low and then we, you know, obviously engulf that. That's solid to me. You know, but I would want a retest of it and we don't get that. So yeah, the bottom just doesn't look convincing from a technical standpoint. We don't have SMT on that bottom. It's also not convincing. There's likely targets to the downside, which were not taken. Even if you look like, yes, the S&P did not create a fair value gap here. This candle's not a fair value gap. But we didn't take this candle as this 1 hour low anyway. So there's no SMT even from here to here that would say, hey, we shouldn't go into the 1 hour. All we have is, you know, this down close, which, you know, fair enough. We have, okay, we have this, right, at the low here. And I wonder if AM's looking at this. I feel like he's got to be. He's looking at the hourly chart and seeing the divergence between these lows. We take off. Boom. You know, he's marking this out. Look at the touchy touch. Blah blah blah. But I don't know what type of profile he would have us pinned on here. I don't know enough about it. I really have to study more about it. So yeah, so we have the divergence here. We have the change in state of delivery there. I was kind of looking for, if we did retest here and then took off, I'll buy it. You know, like fine. Like I'll be more bullish biased. But I would like us to leave some stuff alone. I mean, obviously you have to kind of live and die by, like if you trade the kind of change in state stuff, you live and die by the fact that this low should hold. And if you're trading the SMT, then you're living and dying by the fact that this low should hold, because this is the SMT low. Technically, we could take this one and leave this one alone. But anyway, I don't know. To me, so this is the problem I have with that. I like this as a target and not as a put your stop here or and go long and not do this. Because to me, like this is an easy opportunity, even though we have the SMT there. I could be wrong. Could get murdered that day. You know, like crushed, chopped to bits, trying to go short, go short, go short, while it's just bouncing and sweeping lows. That's happened to me before. Yeah. Not sure. Tough call. Tough call. Currently SMT on these highs. Still 30 minutes left on the candle. No SMT at the lows. Like this looks weak. That's weak. This is okay. I guess there's more SMT there. Look at that. I don't know. Tough call, man. Do you take the short here is the real question. Maybe. That might be a good one. Off the 5 minute. Does look kind of good. But we're just holding this. If we shoot through it, then maybe. And we would lower the position size greatly. All right, so retest, you could short this. That's kind of, I don't like how equal we are here, but let's give that a shot. Just kind of look down there. We only use one contract here. We'll scalp this. And I think the obvious and easy target are these lows here, which is another 50-point trade. Solid. So just using the new day opening gap for bias, you know, and a point of interest. So we had SMT on these highs, right? Consolidation, reversal, or consolidation, expand lower. We get the retracement into a tiny little fair value gap here, right? Let's see if we can kind of stretch down here and show some speed. really wouldn't want to see that. Wow, look at the risk. My Lord. That's crazy. Realistically, I mean, it probably shouldn't be above here because we're keying off this new day opening gap. That's why we took the early short. That's why we didn't wait for it to get up to equilibrium. We went down into lower time frame, found a fair value gap within the weekly opening gap, or excuse me, the new day opening gap, and we're taking the short on it. So really, I don't expect it to reach up into here. Could it wick into this one? Sure. But I don't want it to move too much into this top one. It also gives it a chance to wick into the 1 minute. And we're just above the CE of that. So let's just draw out all of our nice little tools here. Okay, so it could because the equilibrium's up here, but we're not waiting for that. Because that's, we have fear of missing the trade in that respect. Let's mark out those same lows on ES. So right now it's hanging around, which I am not particularly a fan of. The thing that I do kind of like though is that there's really nothing here besides this wick on the 5 minute that could be holding us. And we're just going to run the tight stop because I'm not taking double of that risk. There's no real point of that for me. Plinked. All right. Yeah, we'll leave that up. But I'm not going to re-enter on that very quickly. I don't think there was really anything that could save us from that one. I think that's an okay trade, and I would take it again. I'm glad I put my stop where it was. You could always re-enter. But again, as you can see, like the whole reasoning is it really shouldn't even be up there. Because our whole entire day today is based off of this new day opening gap. Okay, so we've inverted. We're using it as support now. I mean, this is all low resistance. We could. You know? We could. We had the 5 minute change in state here. And sometimes, look, sometimes SMT is just a means for retracement. And it doesn't necessarily always mean that you're going to get a trade off the back end of it. That's why I really like the 15-second time frames and like the low time frames, is because if I could see the SMT and the change in state of delivery like sooner, I'll just get involved quicker. The only thing that here is like I don't, besides the new day opening gap, I don't know what we were retracing to, because we had played around in it plenty enough for me. Maybe into this fair value gap you could have argued that we would have gone, but I don't, you know what I mean? That's a tough one to get involved long after. You know, we do have these nice equals here and no SMT on those, so I don't buy that. What are the things I say a lot? Anyway, and I don't mind. Probably. It's probably, if I can get a counter on that, it'd be funny. That would be pretty good, wouldn't it? Okay. Now we wait. Have we been live for a little over an hour, almost an hour and 10 minutes? Probably gonna call it pretty soon. Not too much to do. Maybe a couple long-sided trades, but I don't know. Kind of a tough move. It's not too bad there. Also, if anybody's wondering what these are just my my nose thing. Hold on, let's see if I should have one down here. It's just so I could breathe. Little magnets. Shameless plug. Intake breathing. Solid. Really good. So I leave them on actually after I sleep, because then I use them at the gym. And it's crooked, but it's funny. I can see the delay in the stream. Anyway, if anybody's wondering what's on his nose, man, that's what. That is what. Ooh, a little mini SMT there. Do we take a little stab short here? Something small. Yep. Little immediate rebalance. I actually really don't like it. Yeah, I actually hate it. Hate it. Yeah, no. No. Not the right move. Something about this just feels like it's going long, and there's nothing really stepping in the way. I mean, the only reason I'm contemplated that trade was because on the hourly we have this divergence, but I just think the ES has places to be, which is above this high, and the NASDAQ also has places to be, which is at the midpoint of that weekly open. And if it doesn't go there, fine. But like for today, that's what seems reasonable. That's what seems likely, at least, you know? Did we save ourselves? Most likely. Most likely. So this is kind of just a slow bleed up. Not very fun to trade. Hard for me to trade. I've never been like a great trend trader unless I catch the top or bottom of the move or very close to it. It's just hard for me to get involved. Super slow. 10:43. We'll wait for the 10:50 to 11 and see if that offers anything, and then we'll probably call it. Although I really should be wanting to get involved long here. It seems like a good long. Targeting wise, you know what I mean? Look at this. All of the trend line liquidity. Look at these little equals here. I guess we could draw that out for yes. Yeah, that one just didn't feel too right. We were lucky enough that the SMT gave us this like down wick. I thought about it just because, yeah, we have these equals down here, but more so we stopped shy of like retesting the 1 minute like VPR, which, you know, ICT is going to say like that should happen because it's balanced now, even though it isn't, because we've passed through once to the upside and then only passed through to the downside like through half, so not all the way through, and then didn't leave it. So it didn't do one of these. I just kind of did one of these, which I was thinking maybe we can get under this low as a quick scalp. And ranges are pretty big, so even just on that low is like 36 points, which, you know, cleans up the little paper cut we had here. So account balance high was 918 after commission, 7918. And we sit now at 7133. Yep, slow bleed. This was the entry. Didn't want it. Little man. Yeah, it's looking long. Yes, probably just zip through here. Dow making a nice little go at the highs. Solid. Yeah, 5 minute. That was a tough trade. Not really sure where it was retracing to there. Did ES go anywhere? No, no. That's a difficult one. I mean, I guess you could say that there was S&T here. I didn't really see that. So you really got to be paying attention. I didn't see it. Although I don't think that stops me. It doesn't stop me from taking that trade again. So pushing long. This could be the target. And at that point, I mean, I think if the S is going to go up here, it might as well just push up at least into the weekly opening price, which is like that pink sort of dotted line. So if we do get that, or if it, I wouldn't be taking longs between here and here. You know, I wouldn't be taking longs between 18.25 and the weekly opening price. Because in my mind, I think it could just pop up above 817.75 and then kind of puke. So I'd be pretty careful about that one. What's up, little dude? It's my cat coming to say what's up. Hey, bud. What do you want to come up? Okay. NQ, like I said, midpoint of that new week opening gap. This is pretty weak. But, you know, look. Kind of got to wait for it to take a high. What's up, bud? You want to come up? All right, come on. Come on. Go. Come on. Go ahead. Okay. I don't know if you guys see him. I'm looking in this stream. Oh, you can see his tail. Okay. This is my man Elvis. It's my dude. He likes to come and hang out with me, so does my other cat Zora. NASDAQ pushing up here. ES just took these highs. Probably a speed bump around here, right? Do we take the quick scalp off that? That's kind of late. Maybe if we get another test. So that wouldn't be a quick little nimble play. Sometimes I'll do that. These hairs all over. Just quickly sell the level and take whatever you can get. That's a good target, these equal lows, and then I'd probably be out. So this is what makes trading continuation moves really difficult is I don't necessarily think I would want to be involved here after we sweep this high, right? Like I don't, like instinct, like first sort of instinct is, well, you know, target is at least to here. So let's also put one there. But we've created the S&T, we've hit the order block on the hourly. But like what I mean by is like if we're gonna just kind of, oh, it's 10:50 now. Okay. Ugh. Hairs in my mouth. Right. So it's 10:50 to 11:10. We watch this next 20 minutes. Sorry, I had to get that one. First instinct would be like, don't wait for it to get back to equilibrium here. Like if it's going to continue higher, it might just kind of prod into here and then roll. But that's a pretty hard rejection. Sorry. That's probably so gross. There you go. All right, got it. Sorry. The stubble's growing in, so like, you know, the hair gets stuck in my face, and then it's like Velcro. But to finish my thought, I don't know if I really want to get involved here because of the hourly sweep at the top here. The perfect kind of reject. You have SMT, SMT, reject. But I think it could just be a speed bump. Because I really do think that ES would want to reach up into here. The counter argument, though, is like if it reaches up into here, it might as well go up to here. And if it's not going to go up to here, then it doesn't need to reach up into here. And this little SMT action is all it needs. Let's just out of curiosity, let's measure the midpoint between these two wicks. So that's interesting. Kind of using it as support for now. Let's get rid of it though, because, well, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. We'll let it remain. So let's see if we run up now. This would be the equilibrium that I look at from this swing to here. Not there. Didn't go. I see like a couple people popping in here and there. I don't know if it's the same person. If you are the same person, thanks for coming back so many times. Hope you're semi enjoying the stream. And if you're somebody different and YouTube's just kind of pushing some stragglers around, then cool. If you want to rewind and watch the video from the beginning, I usually don't save my streams. You can see the trade that's in the title. That was from this area to here. And now we're just kind of watching. We are looking for whether NASDAQ wants to make it up to this red line, and ES wants to probe sort of in here and in here. So this is a 2022 model. Ooh, that's interesting. That short here and risking this high, that's an interesting trade. Obviously, we're too far from it now for me. But I'm also skeptical of taking the shorts here. Like that's just because we haven't met certain targets for ES, but we have created the SMT. So then I would take something, looking at that, that's 11 points. It's really not bad. And if we're aiming for this wickless candle, that's 40. That's a good trade. Just not fast enough. I'm not in the, I'm just not in the mindset of taking the scalps right now to the short side. And it's kind of like a do nothing area because I'm not sold on the short side and I'm not sold on the long side because there's like, where do you risk off of for the long side? And I hate placing stops. Like, I mean, this one made sense, right? Because I had the point of interest here. I hate placing stops not at the high or the, protected highs and instead like, oh, it should probe into this gap. I hate doing that because technically it can and the trade can still work. I usually, like, I want the extreme, I want the extreme. But, yeah, it's for the longs, it's hard to say like, oh, it shouldn't go into one gap or the other because there's really nothing else here to help me decipher that. Maybe these 5-minute equals. This is kind of changing my mind. Is that present on the hourly? No. 15, yes. Did we reach the rejection block on the 15? No. Okay. So that kind of tells me a little something, right? That sort of says, hey, maybe taking a long might be safe here. Like maybe we could ignore this internal SMT, right? Because we fell short of some targets on both indexes. ES did sweep the high, but we did fall short of like the surefires of the NQ, which would be some of those equals. I explained this yesterday's stream, like that I like to them both to reach some sort of destination. NQ did hit that hourly order block, but it could still sweep above here and still be plenty valid. So I'm leaning long. I'm still leaning long. I just don't know where I would get involved in this scenario. Maybe somewhere in these 5-minute fair value gaps. This wasn't meaningful. Not very meaningful, at least. I mean, you could see it sort of respect there, but that could just be coincidence. I'm not going to say that that's precision, you know. Here's what I'll sort of dig down into the lower time frames, and I'll look for my low risk entries if I'm going to get involved in the long here. But yeah, this was a great short. You know, this one makes a lot of sense to me, this 22 model. If you didn't take it up here, then you definitely had to like hit this retest after we reject, like boom, 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 and fall through the equilibrium. That's a great low risk trade. And I don't measure the whole thing, just because to me, like the impulse leg is from first swing high to first swing low. That's the first impulse. Hesitant on taking a long here, even though we have the divergence because of this wickless candle. And I feel like it's going to want to take that. Sometimes it just gets very close to it and runs away. But usually by really close, it's like sort of here. So it's a little tick, couple ticks short of that. Okay. Just not pulling back to anything to give me the entry. This was the entry. This candle's open, tap into the order block, and roll up. Should be pretty parabolic above the midpoint. Whoa. Not great. There's that retest, but I don't like the rejection at the equilibrium. Now at this point, I probably only want to take it above here. That's sort of chasey, but did we get that news? Q2 credit card balance is up 5.8% year over year. Wow. That's from the New York Fed. Q2 total borrowing delinquency rate unchanged. That's not bad. Mortgage origination pace matches last 4 quarters. Auto loans up 10 billion to 1.63 trillion. Crazy. You know, I think I talked a lot about this to a lot of people. I don't know how people were buying new cars with car payments being so high. Like I think you're going to see a lot of delinquency rates in auto loans at some point because I don't know how families are affording $650 to $700 car payments on top of their mortgage, on top of raised food costs, on top of all these things. It just seems like a lot to me. I haven't kept up with even looking. Okay, this is interesting. This is all balanced. This is all balanced work here. See, look at all the passes. It really shouldn't come back down below here. I'm just looking for some sort of array to get long off of. I don't like that move. No. Anyway, back to the auto loan stuff. I don't know how people are affording it. That's super expensive. Uh, and then what's also funny is that luxury car payments or luxury cars were actually selling a lot. Like if you spoke to any sort of the luxury dealers, that's an interesting short opportunity, but I am kind of leaning long, so I'm not going to take it. Again, playing with this equilibrium here. So you can see how you could use certain areas, right, for quick scalp trades and quick sort of bias confirmation. We could be wanting to go into this gap. That would be the craziest whipsaw ever. That would make sense though. Look at that midpoint. With the SMT, do we? Yeah, why not? Since we're on stream, why not? We don't really want to see that low get taken. We'd want speed over here. What are we talking about? Car delinquencies. The luxury cars were actually selling more. And those, I mean, people are paying like $1,000 a month for those, like, your BMW payment that was 600 a month or 500 a month is now in the thousands. You used to be able to get like a Lamborghini for like 2,000 a month on a lease, but you can't do that anymore. This is ugly. I think I'm probably gonna close out of this trade. I just hate how it keeps rejecting here. I should have probably just let this stop, do its job, but differing SMT, well, actually those are equal highs. Yeah, I don't, even, I don't think everybody's making more money. So auto loans, that's something to be interested in. So why did I take that long there? We moved right in, nailed the CE of that, had SMT on those lows. Technically, I guess I should still be holding it, but I just hated to see this rejection, especially after this little sweep of that high and then boom, just completely get shoved back down. Not something that I would be super comfortable holding, but I think that's the whole point of these types of long entries is that they're supposed to feel scary, and that's usually when they're really good. If we immediate rebalance, then maybe it's worth another shot. I'm just hesitating on the trigger here. It just doesn't feel right. I want to take the trade because I feel like it's, yeah. No. Yeah, it's just, what did we take? So what did we take? Like 180 bucks, $100 loss. It's 5 points. It's not bad in this type of market. 5 points like a paper cut. Yeah, that was the trade. Save my stop for no reason. Should have just listened to it. Oh, that could be good though. That I don't mind. I see it kind of getting up above this down close. Then we're chilling. Then we're golden. If we can do that, but we're not. Wow. Just chop city. Ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. And we're just respecting that. I think I need to get out. I hate to, but I think piece of me wants to reverse it. Yeah, that's okay. Just selling the selling the lows and buying the highs. Aye. See, this is a dangerous spot for me. I can go back and forth on these little time frames all the time. It could just come up, and if it does that, then big yikes. Huge yikes. Look at that. Chop 250, 100, 765. Gave back some there. We could try to get real nifty. Yeah, original long was the trade. I just didn't trust it. That's a shame. And then lost more trying to play the other way. Or, you know, trying to get back in. Sucks. This one, I mean, this was, look, I expected us to kind of close over this here. That's why I took the anticipatory entry. And then that this would be kind of treated like some sort of breaker, you know, but we just didn't. So that's why I kind of bailed. We left this, you know, we have the equals all the way down here, the SMT at the top. So this was really the best entry. This tight stop entry, that was the one to play. Tough read. I'm looking at this 1 minute CE wick. You can see we're rejecting it. I don't like that we took this high. It's divergence there. Yeah. Let's get rid of that because I don't think that's necessarily pertinent anymore. Yeah, so I was looking for a short here. I liked a very low risk tight stop short on the like test of this test of the candle here and like only risking this high. But we took it because it was looking quick. So there you go. What news just came out? So yeah, I mean, there's obviously we're seeing the areas at which you know these trades are originating at really well. Just having a hard time executing them. Which is okay. I don't mind that. It's better than not seeing jack and blindly firing. I'm okay with that. This could still be like a viable pullback. SMT on 15-minute lows. Starting to kind of take a dive here. Let's look at this gap here. It's a little small and these are equals, but let's see. We're gonna wait for some more confirmation. So far, I mean, like if you really wanted to, like if you were super committed to longs, I'd be willing to take a poke at it here, but it's tough. I don't have a very clean read. Hmm. So if you were trading the S&P and you really believed it was going lower, this would be a short versus this high. And you have all these equal lows here. Sort of makes sense. But we already have that larger time frame SMT on the 15-minute. This candle hasn't closed yet, but could be the case. This line is denoting that 15-minute low that ES took and NQ has not yet. We don't know if it will or it won't. Kind of just have to wait. I think the goal here is to clean up this $1,000 or so of lost P&L, and then probably dip, because I've been live since 9:30. We've already crushed a great one earlier in the morning too. That was a good short. So barely sweeping into that 15-minute fair value gap here. Wondering if ES is going to want to take some equals down here. I wonder if we're in a little market maker model right now. Could be. To be honest with you, I really only thought of this order block as a speed bump, which it could be on the hourly. It very well could be. It could still just be a speed bump. Obviously, excuse me, it looks exaggerated on the higher time frames, or on the smaller time frames, excuse me. You know what? At this point, I'm just kind of looking for the longs. I'm not really looking to get too aggressive on shorts. Mentally, I think they'll be a little harder to hold, even though we do have good targeting. This is an interesting spot. Just swept below that low. Waiting. So we're going to try to use the same sort of principle that we were looking at up here, using this ranges EQ for bias. I don't know, these lows. So with Yes, these lows seem kind of questionable, like this trend line liquidity. Seems a little sus. Trying one there. Preferably ES doesn't poke into that. That's good for me so far. Just want ES to stay out of here. I'm moving my stop to even here just because of this. Solid. We're going to lock some in, just 85 bucks. Let's see if we get a nice move out of here. Let's see some speed. See if we could retake this 1 minute. That's good. I like that. Let's keep it going. Next objective is obviously up through here. Is that 15-minute? I don't want to see it. Well, I just don't want to dig that hole any deeper. Fine, actually that's reasonable. We're gonna move the stop down here. I mean, the difference between the 85 and not is like no big deal. I just want to give this order block's mean threshold a chance. I don't like how we're using this as resistance currently. I would have rather seen us bleed through here. There, excuse me. Not great. That's the last chance, really. It's got to go. It's got to go hard. No. Come on. Just rebalancing everything. Not great action. Came up, hit the rejection block. Got stuck right in this fair value gap. Pretty much at the low. Bodies didn't close inside of it. So reasoning for the trade is, we had SMT on the is it going to take me out there? Probably. ES is now in that spot. So the reason I entered where I did, yeah, look how we're projecting now at the midpoint. The reason I entered where I did was because we had that SMT in this fair value gap. We had strength as opposed in the 15-minute as opposed to ES showing weakness out of the 15-minute. So ES didn't have to enter this in my mind, and Q did. We created that order block. So realistically, your stop should be below the order block in the low risk buy part of the smart money reversal, but yeah, we're gonna get stopped here. But I just don't want to take any. I don't want to, take any more losses. That's fine. So it could have been a solid scalp. I don't want to say I got greedy because I don't think I did. Everything was moving to plan nicely here. Oh, now it's gonna. We'll see. How we kind of closed back above this fair value gap, which was good. But this was trouble. When we kind of melted back through on 15-second and then used the midpoint as resistance, that was not great. I don't love this action. I mean, we have SMT on the 1 minute now. I don't love this type of action because we probably should have just used this order block. Yes, weak on the highs. Don't love that. NQ, good push. Yep, solid strength out of a yes there. That's good. I'm rejecting that midpoint though. I mean, we'll just try one. I hate it because yes is still weak. I'm just giving this a shot. And we get back below this fair value gap, it's probably chalked. It's just got to go for me here. ES is super sloppy, super weak. Just kind of going with the NASDAQ strength and kind of really it's hope. Yeah, not great. Not great. There's too many, the downside's very weak. Like the structure's, it's a weak structure. Just seeing what the 1 minute's going to do. I mean, this level's almost irrelevant at this point, the way we're treating it. There's no real support there. If anything, there's just kind of, it's just showing resistance. Just trying to trust the SMT at the bottom, giving it a chance. Thoughts of adding into this fair value gap, but just not trying to dig any sort of hole. I might take break even here. Because we close back below this, I don't like it. We could just be creating a top wick here. Yeah. Yeah, yep. Propulsion block, maybe? Super messy. I was just playing with that level. Where's my hold at now? 106, 107. High was 107.98, 92. So a little over a grand, kind of giving back. Just tough, just choppy chop. Not getting a whole lot of follow through. Seeing it too, though, like, you know, understanding where I'm off here, off sides. Just really want the follow through, and we're not kind of getting that. And I think whenever I try to get long that many times and it's just not working, then clearly I think my bias is just wrong. And we could just be kind of real rangy again. I'd like to end on a winner, preferably. ES was bad news. I mean, once we started kind of rejecting the midpoint of that 15-minute fair value gap on the lower time frames, it was never really great. What I can appreciate though is, we're being smart about, holding on to these positions and letting go of them when it's time to let go. And I'm just having a hard time flipping, the bias to short. It's just a difficult call for me right now. Because you could argue it's like, oh, well, it's telling you every which way that long is not it. Why not just go short? It's because I just don't. I don't have the same conviction. And I know that NQ can really NQ could really play with the technical side of things. Like I'm one that will trust my draw more over technicals, unless the technicals are like punch you in the face, obvious. Then I kind of, I'll take the hint. But once I sort of have an idea in my mind, I just based off of experience, if I believe my draw is correct, I'll just trade in the direction of my draw. Yeah, multiple SMT too. I guess I should have saw that. Well, I did. I just didn't care all that much. Kind of figured ES would pick it up. Figured ES was playing the fake, oh, I'm weak, even though it's been strong all morning. And NQ was just kind of showing the line of the real move. I'm actually going to take that away. I don't really care about that anymore. We could be making our way to these lows. Maybe NQ into this gap. We'll see. I mean, I definitely think ES takes this low, put it that way. Maybe there's value in finding a short to there. Just waiting for something. Nothing for me in that. Big breaker here. $52-week bid to cover coming out. Slightly more interest on a lower rate. Huh. Very interesting. Tempted to take one up here and risk this high. Just kind of playing small ball. Yes, playing off the EQ, which I don't like. I'm going to try one there. I like the rejection into the top. It could push up into here. It's holding the top though, which is so lame. Oh, 1 hour's not pretty. For the short side, that is. Watching EQ. Rolling my stop. Don't want it to, just not taking any heat. Yeah. ES, too strong over here. And believe it or not, like this matters to me. Like these, how these 15-second bodies work close just above it. Not a fan. It's a little more interesting. I don't really want to see it back into here. I think it's time to get out of these micro time frames and just kind of stare at the 1 minute for a little bit. Too much conflicting. I mean, you can see we're using EQ to push up higher. We're just falling short of lows, you know? Falling short of lows, falling short of highs. That kind of makes how I think about the market difficult. You know, hard for me to take trades when that sort of behavior is in play. And you can see like the very nuanced stuff that I usually, you know, will trade off of. Also, just that in general, not really giving me a ton of conviction. Like I'm obviously I'm pulling the trigger here because I understand that the Nasdaq can be sloppy and kind of throw technical precision out the window at times, but I just get like I'll get defensive then. Like, okay, if it's gonna be gross up here, then you know, yeah, it should puke and should just tank. So that's why I rolled the stop there. And believe it or not, like there was this little volume imbalance could have saved it if it was going to just run. I will be right back. Just gotta use the bathroom real quick. All right, we're back. Just tough. 15 minutes still kind of like, rejecting. That could be it. No. Okay, so what I'm looking at right now is the small divergence from this low to this low, both using the equilibrium of their downside range. Closing above this candle, preferably wouldn't enter into this fair value gap. So if I were to enter into this, I'd probably take it to long, put my stop in here. But it's like just chopping around, so I'm tired of getting chopped up, so I'm just not going to take that. About 2 minutes left on that 15-minute candle. ES finally came up and touched its 15-minute inversion. So typically, like this equilibrium, like how we're using it as support, would be really interesting to me for a long. I just I'm choosing not to pay too much attention to it because we didn't sweep this low. I think somebody should have. So that's what kind of makes me wary of, taking a setup off here. I think it's working for now, but I just don't know if it holds up. So that's why I'm hesitant. Also, we have that 15-minute inversion. So I think real confirmation can come from ES reclaiming the 15-minute bullish fair value gap if it doesn't want to take this swing low, I hope the audio is okay. I don't have anything. My streaming setup is not fancy whatsoever. I don't have like a dedicated streaming setup. I'm just going through the PC and OBS. Finally learned how to. I mentioned this earlier. I finally learned how to get it to stream in 1080p 60. So that was cool because yesterday's stream was like 720, and I don't know who the hell would watch that. I wouldn't. So I don't blame anybody for not watching that. I don't know. I feel like I'm relatively sold on the short side for now until somebody takes this low. That could be a key piece of information right there. That 5-minute candle, if this 5-minute candle closes, respecting, that could be something interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll just watch for the last 15 or so seconds. Not interested in that anymore. We've reclaimed on the 15-minute, I believe, as well. At least on NQ, but not on ES. That's pretty strong. That might be a long. Yep. Oh, hesitated. But it could just be to take out these equals and then turn right back around. They're just so out of sync. And out of sync is okay. Like, that's okay as long as we were taking objectives like this. But we didn't. So, like, just kind of have to have the restraint. So there you go. We prodded up above. Wouldn't be surprised if we turned back around here. That would be brutal, but I wouldn't say I, didn't see it coming. Question is, do we hold this candles low? No. Less confident. Way less confident. Yeah. Crazy, man. And you know what else? Like, these micro movements are tradable. It's just so much harder to trade them on TradingView because the DOM is just slow. Like, it's not like if you have Rhythmic or whatever, or who else has really good candles? Trade of Eight, like their actual platform has really good candle movement, to where like the candle is literally jittering. Excuse me. With every tick. Like it's very, very low latency, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it makes like these moves much better to trade because you could actually get out somewhere towards this high or your stop hold. Like there's not as much slippage. I wonder if we just kind of flag and then roll up here. But like I said, it's very difficult right now for me to get involved on long side just because we didn't take this low. Like, yeah, you could argue SMT on this low, right? Like, NQ didn't enter into this fair value gap. ES did, but ES didn't respect it. So if ES respected it, that'd be another story. But since it didn't respect it, I would have, you might as well at this point, like your draw is here, might as well take it. And NQ can move into here. That's how I kind of look at it. Super tough action to trade. Very conflicting on the small time frames. Probably not even going to look at them because they would just get me into trouble here. Because technically these are great setups. Sweep the equals, come down, change in state here, use this prior fair value gap support for this breakout. Now as resistance, trade back lower. Didn't do that. That could be a low risk sell right on the inversion here. Wouldn't do that either though. Yeah, back to we're just in between two targets for me right now. That's when it's hardest for me to trade. I mean, that's how we were this morning, but it was much easier using the bias of the new day opening gaps. But we're in between, like I said, I think ES needs to take this high, at least go up to this high. Could go prod up here and then turn around, or touch up into the new week up. Like there's a lot of upside potential. Let's put it that way for ES. Immediate rebalance on the 1 hour, by the way. And then NQ, we also have these equals lined up, which I think is reasonable at this point to take a trade in that direction. You just have to find a place to risk off of. Tired. It's tiring talking all this time, man. Talking for 2 hours. You could argue that the Dow created the S&T. I just haven't been paying too much attention to the Dow lately. Usually I would. I guess in this situation I probably would have. But would have much rather have seen ES hold this fair value gap, right? Dow sweep this low. ES and NQ hold these lows. And NQ just not enter into this low. So NQ did its job. ES failed. Dow did its job. Then I'd be a lot more comfortable taking the long because that's just super clean. You know, each one of the indexes diverging just a little bit from one another. Dow taking the low, major liquidity. ES taking internal, minor. NQ just not. That to me is a clean move. Then, you know, this whole like slow chop, use the equilibrium, use midpoint of the 15-minute. Then even once the NASDAQ, wow, look at that. Should have zoomed out, I guess. NASDAQ using the 15-minute invert, like then it makes a whole lot more sense to just kind of get long in this slow grind. And then this take of the inversion 1 minute would be your kind of go signal. There's not a great place I could find to risk off of. Or you could have like been like, okay, down close candle, get long here, risk the low. I don't love that. Just because that's another thing I guess I say a lot. Anyway, I wouldn't mind that. And I don't love that. Someone pull up the counter. I don't prefer it because in my mind, like I don't care if it goes a little bit below that just to move up higher. It's not make or break for me. It doesn't make sense for me to risk that on a trade. Put it that way. Because it doesn't invalidate anything. Only thing it would do is just, you know, let you know, like, yeah, you are super late on your entry and maybe you want to get out before it retraces down to this down close or down to this breaker or, you know, bottom of this fair value gap. That's it. There you go. There goes NQ to target. If it stops just shy, that's great. Give me some sort of pullback. I just don't really believe that. I want to be long, just for the sweep of this. The 1 minute body and then the 1 minute wick. I just don't believe that. The reason I'm forced to hesitate though is because of divergence on the highs. And then the risk, you know, like it's at the end of the day, it's all like, where am I risking off of? And I'm like, where am I risking off is this low, but like this one right here. But it's making it very difficult to get involved. I mean, the buy was here. Just a lot of conflicting information. You could argue that it's analysis paralysis, but I don't think it is. When it's clear, it's clear. That's all. You know, things either line up or they don't. Could just be offset accumulation. It's 11:50, almost top of the new hour. I think that's probably what's smart here, is to just wait for the hour. I think, you know, you probably miss entries, but like right now I'm looking at this, but I don't know, something about like the flip-flopping has got me a little so-so. Yeah. Just got to keep yourself out of trouble. Oh my God. Sorry. My laptop's gonna die. Mm. Here goes the new hour. Boom. Rip through. Let's see what happens. Opened with a volume imbalance for S&P. Usually pretty bullish. Do we make a bottom wick yet? Small. Could be off to the races here. Yeah. Bing, bing, bing. Right up into here. Well, this has got to go. We got to clean this up. This has got to be taken. Still not taking the same hourly high that NASDAQ has yet. Breakaway? Could be. Yeah. Ow, carpal tunnel and shit. Taxing. This is taxing. Hey, look, I'm glad there's somebody in here. Like, what's up? I hope it's, I don't know if you're using it as background noise to fall asleep to, because it's sure as hell ain't all that interesting right now, but I hate getting all these political text messages. They all say stop to end. Just don't, I don't know who leaked my number in the first place. I mean, that sucks. I get all these scam calls and crap. Not cool. Not cool. This could be interesting. We'll short up here. Oh, no, we're in that. And is it SMT? Nothing super high confidence. I'm just looking for any hint. Any hint possible. That could have been it. You know, the really tough thing is just like, where do you risk? That's all. Like here, I guess it's this low, right? That's a quick stop out. Just hesitating. We were just taking paper cut after paper cut after paper cut, probably down a G and just paper cuts. A little over, actually. Just gonna try it again and be a little bit looser with the stop here. I mean, we have the SMT on the hourly, but oh, I guess that's where it could be going. Right. I guess it could want to come back into here and then just zipperoo. Just not ignoring, just trying not to ignore this. Ugh, so ugly, man. So ugly. Like, instinct is to reverse it in here, but I just know it's going to blow right back up. Like, it's that type of movement, right? Where it's like, okay, we're going down. reverse it in here. We're going to use that 1 minute to go lower, but I feel like it's just going to blow right back up through. Like, and that's just, you know, nothing technical about that. That's just kind of screen time, seeing these types of consolidation moves like happen over and over and over again. That's not good. It's got to go there. Like, it's got to go from that gap. I mean, this is like, what is this even worth to even trade? Like, when prices like this, this is literally unbearable. It shouldn't go back below this candle's low. It should not go below this candle's low. It should just take off from here. ES is the problem. Oh my God, man. That's so brutal. See, you just kind of like, see how ugly that was? But I knew it was gonna give a nice little pop. If it was gonna continue, it really shouldn't have gone below here. Ugly, man. Just super ugly. Yeah. Now ES wants to push. That's so lame. It's just not clean continuation trading. I think that's really just what it kind of comes down to. Clean continuation trading would be leaving this alone, coming down into this and just ripping. But this is just consolidation. trading these microwave ranges, it's like super rough. A lot of mental compute, like too much for what it's like really worth. What's funny is if I would just take quick scalping profits off of some of these trades, probably be back already, but like, what are you gonna do? Right ideas, just real defensive, which is okay. And like it becomes a slippery slope because if you don't risk here, where else is your risk? That like makes sense. Like this low, why? Why not this? Why not, this low? There's really no argument. It's hard to make arguments for it. This low was good because it was into a fair value gap, bullish engulfing. This down close should hold. Shouldn't be wigged like that. You could say that the body's held, but body's schmoddy. Like, what are you gonna? It's hard to have a stop like that, to say, well, okay, I put my stop down here, right? But I'm really like, if a body closes under here, then I'm out. I don't know if you have the more mental fortitude to do that, to like have a stop in and then close before it, even though your trade isn't like, if that invalidates your trade, then by all means go for it. And that stop is really just to protect you from like the fall through the floor candle. Then okay, but I don't know, man. ES headed for this high, which is the 4-hour. That's dumb. That's FOMO. That was FOMO. You almost saw it. I stopped myself. It would have been okay. I mean, SMT entry off the lows, right? Enter on the order block, risk the low. Not going to do it. We've gotten torn up enough. We've gotten torn up enough. Would have been stopped out anyway. These are the type of days that literally make you lose your mind. It's like some of my best advice is like, if you have a target, right, and you get a good entry, just stay in a move as long as you possibly can, because there's no, I mean, it stops you from over trading or any of that other stuff. I just want one solid one, so that way I could just close out the stream on a solid note. I mean, it's still a really good day. We gave plenty back, in small scalps. But I mean, at least we're going about it the right way. Size down and everything. Carpal tunnel from the G's. Is VIX down? Yeah, wow, back all the way down to 25. That is wild. I think the pop here is inevitable. I just think we get crushed if we try to trade it. That could be a good buy on ES. We might take it on IQ. See, I knew it would get crushed if we tried it. Tough. Tough, tough, tough. Absolutely tough. That sucks. This was a good one. Just not marking things out, not paying attention. Change in state. It's okay. Just sort of exhausted, you know. Could be interesting. These are all very weak 15-second candles. Ooh, I don't like that. Not great. This was an issue. That should have been red flag. I was in the trade, so what are you gonna do? See if we can get. Not for me. On the long side there. I was looking for. I mean, we have the divergence, but from here to here. But I don't know. I mean, technically, you could take one in here and risk this low, but just so defensive. I just don't want to give anything back, really. Yeah, I think I just gotta trust that it doesn't feel right. And it is what it is. Just from a 15-minute, like, so my thinking right now is like, we've probed very lightly into that 15-minute. Like if we're going to continue higher, we may very well just kind of do so. It doesn't look like it's taken enough lows, but it might just stop short, and just be one of those kind of like, just keep buying every little micro dip. And ES, like I really do think ES needs to take this high. It's 12:30 though, it's lunch. That's kind of the issue. I wonder if we do it during lunch or if we pull back during lunch now and then just to continue higher. I mean, that's SMT now. Oh, man, so ugly. Piece of me wants me to trust it so bad. I'm just having a really difficult time doing that. And I think that just kind of is what it is. Just so stagnated, Getting shoved at those little equal highs. I'm taking that away because that's just noise. Reclaim that, yeah. Just not the prettiest thing in the world. I think I just feel like it's gonna rocket up. Yes. Gotta go though. I mean, there's no follow through. Like I just see it kind of like just screaming higher, but it's just lagging. It's just lagging, 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 lagging. Not doing its thing. I think I'm gonna just put the stop in there. Partial one if ES really doesn't get a move on. Yeah. Just no follow through. I mean, it's got to take that gap and roll. Come on. I feel like it just looks like it really wants to scream higher, but like it's really trying. I think it's just getting sold into. I'd like it to get up to 200 again, just so I could take one off and, it'll, yeah. Oh, man, dude, just so ugly. So, so ugly. I think we accept that it's going lower. Tilt, absolute tilt at the moment. It should get shoved. Don't shoot the messenger. This is the last one. Reducing risk, reducing risk. Really won't. I don't see it. I don't see the reason for it to go above this high. Shove the risk down more. I mean, just so ugly. Let's move the stop to even now. Partial one on the 5-minute SMT here. Just bad vibes. Horrendous vibes. Almost back towards account highs. I think I'm just gonna, let's see where we are here. I just want to mark out some of these key points. Yeah, that's on the 15-minute too. I think we'll take another 200 off there because it's just so gross. On a 6-8. Realistically, looking for something like into here. Like, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, it's not booking into this 5-minute fair value gap. Kind of regardless, I'm pretty much chalked out of this day after this trade because I mean, I don't have the patience for it anymore. It's been so back and forth all day. How's that for a close stop? I really shouldn't take that high. We'll see if we're protected. There's divergence at least. That high should be protected. Do I risk a couple extra dollars? Why not? What's the difference? 11 bucks. No, we're screwed. Wow, did it just come up and make equals on it? I think that's the sign to get out. It's the sign to leave. Take your $33 and leave. Zoom. It's rocket ship time. It's gonna plink. Yeah. Okay, what is that? 16.6. We're at 17, or excuse me, 6.6. We were at 7. What? 7.9. It's about 1,300 below in 1,300 below high water mark today. So all good. I think that's going to be it for me. We're just kind of consolidating. Volatility is way down. This trade was super tilty. But I think the fact of the matter is that it was just clear that we weren't going up. You know, like, it was just clear that, like, up was not the direction anymore. We had the S&T. You could see that bids were just getting eaten up in this area. So that's why it was kind of the quick reverse size up. Call the last high. You know, P&L profit was there to cover it. But yeah, I think that's it. I think it probably goes a little higher, like into those targets. Like ES left this short. I do think it goes up. Just watching things around here. Just so much divergence on highs. Ugly. feel like I could just run through here. So we're attempting to buy high and sell higher. I really just think ES wants to get up here. I think it's lagging. I think it needs to take off. I think NQ is kind of telling you that it's going to. Playing around this old 5-minute rejection block. I think a close over half of it is good to go, and I think we should rush up there. I would like to have played it on NQ just because NQ's got a better point value and it's clearly the stronger pair at the moment, but just the risk, I couldn't find a good spot to risk off of. ES makes sense. These down close candles make sense for me to risk off of. It's right around that rejection block. I'd like this 5-minute candle to hold. There's a lot of time. It's 3 minutes on this 5-minute candle. I'm anticipating it to hold that rejection block mean threshold and kind of move from there. So we will see. I'm going to be careful with NQ taking another set of highs though with my ES trade. Oh, good. Nice. Let's see if we could get anything more. Because again, these are all those highs. Actually, it might not. I didn't realize. I thought they were all equal. Let's instead just trail a stop. Good. So that's the rocket ship sort of movement that we were looking for. So I'm just watching this gap here. Honestly, I just want to see the strength of this just continue to push. Like I kind of want any sort of shorts to just kind of get annihilated in this position. I just don't want it to look back. You know, I just kind of want it to keep on going, you know, indefinitely for the most part. I think this is a type of move that should just kind of knock a lot of people out. Just watching NQ around here. This blue line is a weekly low. So I'm just watching it around there. And then this blue line is obviously the high from last night's session. I'd like to see us at least hit the midpoint. Lagging here, not great. I just want to see another big, strong move to the upside. Like another 1-minute candle that just kind of like wrecks any sort of short selling in here. I feel like it should just kind of get absorbed. That's the type of move that I'm kind of looking for. So if you remember, well, you don't remember because you probably weren't here, but if you watch which I also doubt because this is like 3.5, almost going on 4 hours. I've been streaming all day. This blow off move is what I was looking for here, you know, and then we had to rage reverse because it just wasn't happening. But that's kind of what I was looking for. So I want this to kind of continue. I've been caught on the other side of these types of moves where I'm just relentlessly trying to short these types of pushes. I now kind of know what they look like and why they happen. So I'm trying to lean on that experience to, you know, basically fade my older self. You know, there's also no real news today. So I wonder if we kind of save certain targets. That's something to kind of get defensive about. Just looking for one more good push and then I'm kind of out of this trade. I'm watching NASDAQ, of course, around the high that it just swept, but also more so the midpoint. I also think it's reasonable for ES to try to test the weekly opening price. On my other screen over here, I do have a 15-second chart and I'm watching NASDAQ steadily push. This is a really nice move for ES too. I'm just kind of getting ready with the stop for when NASDAQ pushes through. So the speed here is actually, I don't mind that we're kind of slow right before. I almost feel like that typically indicates another kind of explosive move instead of us going right up to touch it and then reverse. I typically see that, you know, that's kind of a sign that we may just kind of make one more like volatility injection like move through the level or right into the level. Typically it's through because you'll have a lot of people just sort of front running these levels trying to get ahead of them. At least like that's my thesis or my hypothesis in the order book is that you have a lot of sellers coming in here, and I think that they just kind of get eaten up through the order book. So where the stop is for the ES trade, we've locked in the $7,000 for the day. We won't be lower than that, which is great. You know, so that way we really didn't give back all that much. You know, I think I'm going to kind of move that up a little bit too, and then we'll make a game time decision. Because the way this is playing out, like I do think it can get a little exaggerated on the upside. You know, we may blow through here a little bit, and if I can get a couple extra bucks, why not? I'm really watching for NQ to show like the speed here. Not great. The divergence. It doesn't mean that we're not going to that level. I do think we can. It's just we're going to take a pause here, and this is a 15-minute fair value gap, by the way. We're going to take a pause here and retrace, and that could just kind of stop me out. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I mean, obviously I stuck around for a little bit longer because I just was too stubborn to kind of give up on the move that, I'd waited for basically this whole entire time. Um, which is all good. I'm okay with that. And, I mean, we might as well let this play out. Part of me is like, oh, just get out, run away. But again, we did stop just short of it. So it means one of two things, right? It means that we reverse here and reverse here hard, or we are saving that target to just blow through it. Like it was front ran for the sole purpose to just lower resistance going through it. That's how I think about it when we don't go straight to a target like that. Something that's, logical and obvious. And the only reason I say reverse hard is because like if clearly there's an unwillingness to tap into the midpoint of the weekly opening gap and we've swept the high, like we've taken the liquidity needed to reverse. Uh, Not hitting that midpoint would be a clear sign of major weakness. And like I said, there's reason to believe that the downside is in play. But we just have the stop in using the wickless candle as our that was the kind of catalyst for maybe a start back up to the upside. But we'll see. I hope one of the two things happens rather quickly. Either stop me out or put me up in profit and let's blow through these targets because I'd like to be done. It was truly a grind. Um, I think the irresponsible way to have traded all this move was to just get long and have a wide stop, which I've, preferably have been doing just with lower size with the volatility, just taking a few micros on other accounts, like obviously like a Topstep account or whatever, and just kind of get like, just being confident in my targeting. Because if anything, I think that's what's really gotten good over the, few years or couple of years that I've been trading is my targeting, understanding where the market wants to draw to. Um, all the noise in the middle, like all the obviously like we were calling it out, like we saw everything. We were taking some paper cuts in between, but I think the obvious answer to trading this better without having to take those paper cuts is just to get long, trade towards the target and just, you know, let it run. Don't worry about all the small technical noise in the middle. We obviously, obviously I displayed an understanding of that today, when and where it was a good spot. Obviously some spots don't work out and that's just trading, but um, you know, that's kind of what this trade was like, you know what, I'm going to be a little bit looser with my stop. I understand this area, what can happen, what it should look like. Uh, let's just trade towards it. And you got that nice uh, aggressive green candle. Let's see if we get a continuation though here with the NASDAQ. I mean, you can see we're trading just under it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me for us to kind of tap and then quickly reverse here. I feel like we should have done that by now. So my real thought was that, we're kind of just going to run through that level. And if we just continue to save it, I mean, like I said, there's two scenarios there. We'll move our stop up one more tick, just below that low. It's 1 o'clock. All right, it may want to come down and take me out. That's fine. We watch. know the irony of all this though is that we're gonna be, well, if it hits for where it's at, we'll be pretty much right where we were P&L wise this morning. But this stream could have very well only lasted 7 or 8 minutes because we were in pretty much right off the open, made the good trade, and typically it's done time, time to just relax after that. But I'm streaming, I want to hang out for a little bit and see if anyone's gonna come around and hang out. So just ironic how we battled the whole entire day, and at the worst of it, we'll be down about 800 bucks. Which is kind of funny. I mean, if it works out, we'll be pretty much right around, but we worked an extra, I don't know, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1. Another 4 hours pretty much. Like we're like 3.5 hours that we really had. Change in state between the two. We'll see if it gets faded here. I typically wouldn't take this one just because we're so close to the midpoint and we've been hanging out around it, so where it's like I feel like that's kind of a BS sort of engulfing there. And I feel like we just kind of push through it. Like this is kind of a fake move. There's SMT too though, which also like sometimes, I mean, at times I'll just bet on the stuff to fail, which isn't always a smart idea, but given certain targeting circumstances, it's the right move. Like I would not take that order block. Doesn't make sense. Even though it has SMT, we're in a point of interest, yada 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 yada. I think because we haven't properly tapped into certain areas, I don't touch it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's because I'm on the other side of the trade right now. So it doesn't make any sense for me to pay attention to that anyway. But I've also been, like again, like I've been on the wrong end of this move before. Something like I have a scar from, seeing that and being like, okay, extra week, better take this. Sometimes they work, but other times they just steamroll you. And then that's it. I mean, for the stream's sake, it would be great for something to just happen. Just so I could roll. Oh, you know what? I'd like to see the yen. I'd like to see USD JPY, see what that's doing. $145.2. Not terrible. We were looking at the daily fair value gap. That was a swing point. That was definitely a swing point. That was a buy range. Oh no. I think it's coming for our stop. Yikes. What do we do? Nothing. You do nothing. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. We have SMT on the smaller time frames, so I could theoretically move my stop up even more, lock in the full. Will it be 10 points? No, it'd be 9 3/4. I may dabble just for the sake of getting this over with. Maybe it comes down and taps us and then rips to the atmosphere. Where were we before? Where were we at 450? Which is right there. I think it's gonna blow up. Like I've been on the optimistic downside of this trade and it's steamrolled me every time, so I think it blows up here. I think it just kind of goes to the moon. I really do. Too many painful memories, you know? But it's good because they've ingrained themselves and like, you know, obviously I now have that. I have that in my back pocket to use. Just do it already though. If you're gonna do it, do it. Yeah, I think it's another one of the kind of explosive moves to the upside. I just don't know what the catalyst is. Clearly, I mean, obviously it would be a low, but I just don't know if I'm safe for it. That's all. It's going to sweep me out and then probably take out, then take off. That's how I'm feeling. Okay. I actually really don't mind that. Oh, all right. Cool. Thank the Lord. We're done. Get me out of here. Let me run. Let me run away. It's over. Thank God. What's the final? All right, 107.087. P&L watermark high was 107.920. So a little less than 900 bucks. Okay, back. Okay, let's see the blow off top, or let's see the straight up move now. That's gonna be it. Solid day trading. Could have been better. Had a lot of the right idea, just couldn't find excuse me. Couldn't find a right spot to execute. Hard to, you know, risk off. It was a little slow. It was a little lazy on certain moves. And that's gonna be it. Excuse me. Thank you to the 2 or 3 people that tuned in. Hope it wasn't too painfully boring, and hopefully you learned something from it. I will see you later. I don't know when I'm going to stream next. I guess I'll keep this one up just to see how they do. They just typically they just don't do well on the channel, like after as a rewatch. Not that I've been paying too much attention to the content. But yeah, I just feel like it messes with the aesthetic having the super long live streams, and they're kind of boring. Like I try to talk all the way through, but there's not a whole lot of people coming through. Like there's no live chat to look at. So we'll see. I'll leave it up. We'll see how this one does, and that'll determine how we go about leaving other live streams up. But I typically I kind of want to incentivize people to come in here and not just record these super long sessions just for S and Gs, but we'll see. All right. Watch ES rip to the moon now that I'm out. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for chilling. See ya.